Well, welcome. Welcome, everybody. This celebration of life is for all of us. And I know it's here to honor Don Branson, Donald Leroy Branson. Boy, you say that and you say it with a smile. I don't know anyone here who hasn't met him, who hasn't been on a journey of laughter and smiles whenever you think of him since. I've had a chance to speak to a lot of you that have not met me and have told me stories. A lot of people that I do know and family I know have told me stories I didn't know, and they all have the same feeling. I think Ken said it best, is he made you feel special. At that moment, at that time, no matter what you were doing, whether you were the president of Kroger and he was talking to you about potato chips, or you were the janitor sweeping the hallway when he walked out, he made you feel special. He made you feel like you can do anything. And he proved it with that life that he had. And it's very fortunate to have had him in my life and around my mom, because she deserves someone like Don. Don made her laugh every moment. Made her throw things at him too, but that was Don. That's why he was Don. He could make you laugh and throw something at him at the same time. We're going to have a lot of stories to tell today. But the most fun stories are the ones you have that you can tell for many years away from this group and spread that Don sense around the world. So we're going to start. Jerry, would you like to come up and say something about it? Please.
Thank you. Actually, I'm Jerry, I'm Don's youngest brother, and I'm going to read a lot because my memory isn't what it used to be, never was. But first I'd like to say hello, everyone. Thank you for coming, and especially from Nancy and all the family, thank you very much for being here to celebrate such a good man as Don. He's really a big part of each and every one of our lives. And I'm sure he's really embarrassed at this time and humbled to see how many people cared for him. But he loved and cared for so many. How could we not reciprocate? Don was always bigger than life. From the time we were children and throughout the years of growing up together, hanging out with him was always an adventure. And it seemed to always center around family, camping, birthdays, holidays, just being in mom and pa's on the weekends. You name it, it was important to him. He would give us all and not expect anything more than a smile. To him, that was reward enough, just to see people happy. Starting with family truly gave him joy, and his children were a source of pride, and they received much love and humor, along with a funny story or two, which you all know. And you could see a father's pride as they matured and began their own lives. And to him, it was always the more the merrier. Absolutely. Because he always included his nieces, nephews, and all the kids in the neighborhood. Nobody was left out. They were all welcome. As I remember, it was good times and laughter. A lot of laughter, even when he tried to teach me to play the guitar. I wasn't too successful. But he was so patient, and I never really got it, but he would let me sit in and have fun anyway, even though I fixed all the people up. But that's how brothers are. They love you when they forgive you for all your faults. And how he loved his music. Singing and playing was a passion. Writing songs, put his feelings to music. And he met so many friends in bluegrass music. Traveled near and far to jam and visit with them all. He started several groups and played with many others. I can remember many a weekend nights just being in a parking lot, near a restaurant or a busy area, watching the group perform for strangers. Like I said, he was always an adventure. As he and Nancy settled in Golden Shores, they seemed as happy as any two people could be. Frequently, they entertained family and friends. It was more of a gathering place for all, or traveling the country in their motorhome. And it seemed they were always on the go. Often I could talk with Don and follow them on Google Maps, zoom into their location and see the town or the countryside they were in. At the time, it was kind of my own vacation vicariously. Yes, as you know, my brother loved being around people, and it seemed to energize him, talking, joking, entertaining, making everybody laugh, which I'm sure that you're all aware of too. That was his way. And as I earlier said, my brother loved his family, his friends, his hobbies, and his music. And it was all like a song he used to sing called Love and Memories. And that's what we have of him. He's just a beautiful man. I miss him so much. I miss the phone calls every day, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Not even remembering why we got a hold of one another, but we were just there for one another all the time. And whether it was 2 minutes or 20, we were just reminiscing a lot about being young. So I'm sure there's a lot of you who remember a lot of stories to tell, and I hope you just kind of relate them to one another just to remember what a big, wonderful person he was. I'm going to miss him. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, before we bring Ken up to speak, I knew Don would be the right man to handle, the right man for my mom. Just because he knew how much she did love him, and that he would do anything for him. He would joke about things, but he took things about her very seriously, and I mistakenly joked to him about maybe she deserves a better ring, and I did mean it jokingly, and I think you did get a better ring out of it, didn't you? You're leaving that for me, right? Okay. Perfect. Even better. So, Mr. Ken, come on and share some of that wisdom of jolly old man you got for us.
You still have that wireless mic? I can't stand still. If I stand here still, it's going to be.
Standing.
All right, I'm a triple. You don't mind if I don't stand up here at the mic, at the podium bid? All right, perfect. Thank you. Oh, watch this coming. So I told myself I was not going to get emotional today, and it's already been ruined. So I just want to make a deal with you all. I don't usually write things down. Thank you. Thank you. But I thought today I better write some things down before I forget it. But I told myself if I get emotional, or if any of you get emotional, Nash, thank you, Nancy, thank you for all doing that to me. So I wrote down some dad jokes. Yes, they are dad jokes. So I've got, if I stop and tell a stupid joke, it's because I have to. And so yeah, it's just what I've got to do so we can keep moving forward, or I won't make it through. So the first thought was, how do you keep a Branson in suspense? And I realized I didn't write down the punchline. I know what's going on there. So, first of all, thank you all for being here. It's great seeing everybody, family, everybody that put this together. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for putting all this together, getting all the family here, and I think everybody just give Nancy a big round of applause for that and for putting up with it for the past 30 years. Absolutely a big applause for that. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Ken Branson, and Don is my dad. And I did say yes, he is my dad. Skip is my dad, not was my dad, but he's still my dad. When I was thinking about that, I thought, it's not just my dad, right? He's dad to everyone else. His sister's here, his stepsisters. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're one of the kids, then he's your dad. I mean, dad to everyone, right? And that didn't go away. That didn't change. Just through families, through divorces, through whatever. He's dad. You know, matter of fact, Jerry, I don't know where you're at, but you know, had a cousin Chris growing up, spent so much time with him, he called him Uncle Dad. So he was dad to everyone. Matter of fact, put my bride on the spot there. Who's going to get mad at me for saying this? But she liked to say, she called him Dad every time she called him. She liked to say he didn't have a favorite kid, but if he did, it'd be his daughter-in-law. And to Nash's point, we were talking, just made everyone feel special that way, right? Just knowing you were special. But then I just got to thinking, but more than a dad, right? I mean, a father, father-in-law, son, brother, husband. I did not forget you. I was actually saving that for last, and most important. Friend, a mentor, just all those things, everybody, and just seeing everybody here today just shows that, right? Just what he was. I'm gonna look at those because I was gonna tell a paper joke here, but it was terrible. Terrible.
You are.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
I was going to tell a pizza joke, but it was too cheesy. I was trying to keep myself going here, so thank you for that. A grandfather, a great-grandfather, just all those things just come to mind, and many, many more. Lots of things. I called them other things as a teenager, but I left those out of here. All the rings, yeah. So, just as everybody shared, love to entertain, love to talk to everybody, yes, everybody, everywhere, right? Never met a stranger. Love to listen, solve problems, and like we talked about. I mean, that's something that like make you feel special, right? Just made everybody who's lived feel special. We love to embarrass those of us around him, right? At any given chance, if he can embarrass us, he certainly embarrassed us. And we're going to have a bunch of stories today, and I want everyone to share as many stories as they can. I think of one time, and so remember, they traveled out to North Carolina. My kids were probably middle school age, so where everything's embarrassing to them. We're at IHOP and having dinner, and he says, I don't like to eat off the dirty forks in restaurants because I don't know how clean they are. Made sense to me because I feel the same way. He pulls a fork out of his pocket and then he extends it out, reaches across to some stranger's table, and he's like, "Can I have a bite of that?" The kids were super embarrassed. We're laughing. People at the other table are now his friends for life, right? That's just the way things went. If he could embarrass somebody and use himself to do it, that's what he did, and it made everybody feel good. And just I hope we all carry that on. We're here today to celebrate his life, right? This is a celebration. I got a little emotional, so that's why the silliness. But just celebrate his life and share stories. And I've got stories, and everybody's got stories. So hopefully, come tell me stories, tell each other stories. Just share the way that he touched your life. And I look around and I think, family, friends, food, music, food. I say food. He would have loved this, right? He would have loved to be here. And this would be his shining moment. He would be walking around, standing up here, all eyes on him. Just want to keep that. Share those things. It makes me think of a story. Thinking of wishing he was here. Just one more story. That he would tell about a time that he was out right around the desert, him and his dog, and got lost. Imagine that, out in the desert, and the sun goes down, it gets dark, it gets late, and he's like, we're gonna starve to death. One of us has got to go. So he cooked his dog and ate his dog and really enjoyed every bit of it, and got down to that last bone and looked at it and said, "Man, my dog sure would have loved this bone." Yes, that's not a true story, but he's watching us, he's here with us, and he would love every bit of this. So please come find me, tell me your stories, tell me the way he touched your heart. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for sharing. Don, another reason we knew Don was right for my mom and right for this world is he loved animals. He made Katie, as I was given another story by the great Richard Brewer, about his dog would fetch things for him. I believe, Richard, you said he asked her to go fetch his shoes, and he brought back socks. He said, no, Katie, I said my shoes. So she ran and got his shoes. Another time they got done playing and picking in the backyard, and it was hot, and they were throwing the frisbee for Katie, and Katie had gotten it a few times, and Don was done. He said, all right, we're done, go get a drink. Anyway, got a drink. Richard said, how do you get them dogs to do things? Just got to be smarter than the dog. Richard just got to be smarter than the dog. Which is true. It's just, he makes the simplest statements, and you think back on it, you smile about it. So, I'm sure this next gentleman, his brother Ronald, have plenty of stories, but I think he's just going to share just a quite quick note about his brother. And without further ado, Mr. Ronald Branson.
I'm not a public speaker, but the only thing I can say is he was my brother. And he'll always be the same, and I love him.
I think that can be said for a lot of us, whether he made you feel like family. Even as I first met him, I was in the Navy, my own man, doing my own thing. He'd already been in the Navy, done his thing, and he had a lot of wisdom to give, and so that wisdom helped me grow up a little. As you know, Don never did grow up, which is why we love him. And I hope you always have that part of you in you, that Don sense, to make you just laugh at this world. Things get hectic. It's really not. Do we really live have that bad of a life? And he would make fun of it and make you think that, hey, life is always about fun. It's about what you think about having fun. Never a negative. I worked with him in the warehouse where we didn't have the product. We didn't have whatever. There was never, oh, darn us, well, we can't do anything. We're sunk. It was, all right, well, let's go do this. This will take care of it. Or he just found a way to do it. Always. We'll always thank him for that. So always remember that. Miss Kim, would you like to speak? His daughter, Kim.
Shadow come? Yeah, of course.
Of course, Shadow can jump. You want up here, or would you like the mic down there?
All right, so, hi guys, thank you all for being here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Don's firstborn child and first grade neighbor. Okay, is it better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so I'm sure I put him to the test, and all the rest of the kids were really easy. Every story everybody's told so far expresses my sentiments exactly. He was a father, a husband, wonderful in all of these departments. A friend, a bandmate, a mentor, a joker, and a comedian. He never, ever made anybody feel wrong about their decisions. He stood behind you and helped you make the decision on your own. My goal to carry on my dad's legacy is to make sure that I leave every room with somebody smiling, and I promise by the end of today, I will do that for you guys. Right now, you know, I wanted to come up and say I was sad, but I'm not sad for my dad because he had such a great life, such a great wife, so many great adventures, so many friends. He loved his family. You know, I'm sad for all of us because we are going to bless one wonderful human. And I think that's all I got to say, except for thank you very much all for coming. And I know he's here with us now, all right, and he's proud. So thank you.
I do believe we have some pictures, unless there's any other family members who would like to step up and share their memories. Do we have any more pictures that we want to share?
We're just
here?
gonna let this play throughout the
Okay.
service.
Would you like me to go through some of those? Miss
Yes.
Nancy Branson? Are you sharing them or am I reading them? You are. Well, you have to read them and whisper in my ear and I'll speak because you know I can't read. You teach me to read. Yeah. Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to flip through some of these. We're not going to read them all, but we're going to have them. We'll take some pictures. We'll have them around for you to look at them and read. If you did not get a chance to fill out one and share a memory, or you did not get a chance to sign in and share a memory there, we ask that you please do that. Please be part of this, not only in spirit and in memory, but we'd like it improved so we can have an alibi for you. All right. I'm going to start one here that I can actually read. All right. What I remember about Don is when he hugged me, he would say, "I wish you would stand up when I hug you." I would say, "I am standing." Charlotte, where are you at? Stand up. All right. Let's see it. When we give her a hug, make sure you tell her to stop standing up. And that would be him. He'd make you feel special while he put you down at the same time. Here's a simple one. What a guy. He hand carved my lipstick. All right, let's get rid of that one. Carol. Where's Miss Carol? Hey, hand carved your lipstick.
Did anyone else get a lipstick?
No.
Hey, Mom, I'll take care of her later.
He carved a walking stick for me, and it had lips all over it.
Yeah, still lipstick. Perfect, yes. I would hang on to that one.
I forgive you.
All right, I'll call him Papa. All right. Always enjoyed seeing Don. He always gave me a hard time. He will be missed. That's Daryl and Jean. What are you doing? There we go. I think I picked that whole section card. Just, just right. Didn't even mix them up. All right. I'm not going to edit these. Every time I saw him, he had a joke, a smile on his face, and a hug. Every time Lori and I were together, he told us to stay out of trouble, if not stay out of jail. I've heard that one many times, although I think he said stay in jail, and I'm not kidding you. But he did tell him he'd bail him out, and that was him. He would always bail you out whether you needed help with a car, whether you needed help with a lyric, you needed to be bailed out of jail. He would come do it. Perfect.
Who's that from?
I'm sorry. Jenny.
Yeah.
All right. Don always had a smile and a joke available. I miss you. That's a signature. Can't read that one. Thank you. But I think you're all seeing a common theme, which I love, and I'm not going to continue going through all these. I'll go through some more throughout. I don't know if we can play some music and we can do some eating and enjoying of company here and fellowship. As we know, Don enjoyed being on stage, but he also enjoyed everybody enjoying each other and getting to know people that you don't get to hang around with as much. So if there's something we can do about that, play some music and have some fun and some fellowship, some food. Yes.
We have one more.
Of course.
Randy. Come on.
No, that's what?
This is Frank Blaine.
Here we go.
Here's another daughter.
You can do it,
Yeah,
Randy.
we go. Ooh, if anybody wants to come up here, welcome to come up. You do not have to be family.
Randy, you can do it. He's in your pocket. He's got you.
Come on up, Randy, have some fun. Most definitely will not.
I'm Brandy, I'm his stepdaughter. He's never ever stopped being my dad. I got every birthday, every Mother's Day, every Christmas, everything. And last year, I didn't get one. And I said, hey, are you doing okay? Because I didn't get a happy birthday. And I know when my dad passed, oh gosh, okay. And he's like, no, I'm fine. So come October, he texts me, he's like, hey, you forgot my birthday. I'm sorry, I love you, I was thinking it, I love you, I'm sorry. He's like, love you too, don't worry about it. He just never stopped being my dad. He was always there for me, no matter what, just never stopped. And he gave my sister and I the best childhood memories that a blended family could ever ask for. I love him, and I miss him. That's all.
Perfect.
Good job.
Friends, anybody would like to come up and speak, or we can bring the microphone to you? Would you like the microphone, or would you like to come up?
Okay, but I have the microphone in my hand and I'm going first.
Well, hey,
Turn your mic down.
like any of us had control of this.
That's right.
So,
These people know me.
right, so obviously she's now going.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you about Don. I'm going to tell you that the first time I really met Don, we were in the Sizzler in Blythe, California. And he was sitting with his friends. I really didn't know him before this. He was sitting with his friends on that side of the room, and I was sitting with my husband and my family on this side of the room. And all of a sudden, whack! From that side of the room, he threw a bread roll. You know, Sizzler always had this. He threw a bread roll all the way across and smacked me right in the back of the head. We were best friends from that moment on. I knew he was my kind of person. The next thing I want to tell you is, to me, this sums up what a character he was. When Don and Nancy convinced us to move to Tupac, thank goodness, Don and Jim would go out and explore in the desert, and Don loved to take Jim to the old mines and the old railroad bed and all the cool things that are to see out here. And they would always go to this one mine. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's a big hole. It's a big hole with chicken wire over it, and I think 10 million bees live in this hole. It's a horrible place. Yes, and the people who live out here know what I'm talking about. And every time they would go, Don would try a different way to convince Jim to let him tie a rope around him and lower him into that hole. Thank goodness Jim had better sense than Don. And then the last thing that I'm going to tell you about Don. This is the one that'll make me cry, but he knew I was going to cry. When, right before my Jim passed, the last conversation that he had with Don made him a promise that he would look after me and make sure I was okay. And he did that. And how many people ever got these phone calls? I know y'all did. Anybody can talk to him on the phone. Hello, it's me. Is that you? And I treasured those, and I treasured 30 years of friendship with the man. I treasured Nancy still. And so, okay, I went first because I knew I was going to do this, but if I did it after you guys, it would have been worse. So who has something to say next? I think Richard does.
Right here, we got one right here.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to introduce myself.
Get it closer.
It's Tom. I was with Shipman in Dodge. In 1965, I was stationed on USS Halsey with Don. When he and I first went to Vietnam, we weren't at war with Vietnam, we were advisors. But the one thing about Don, is when you made a friend with Don, it was a friendship. It was, you know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I was never able to do like Don did, but, you know, perfect everything. I mean, that's why he went on to be, when he had more staff, and I was still a grunt in the gun mounts. But the one thing about Don, is that's my friend. Whenever he would see me getting too close to the edge of the ship or going in the wrong direction, he kind of nudged me, nudged me in the right direction. And this was true on Liberty or everything else. And when Don says, I want to take you home to meet my sisters, he said, because I used to really like to indulge in the alcoholic beverage. And Don said, I have a sister that could probably drink you under the table. I had to accept that challenge. And we went and met Ma and Pa. All of us back there, we bumped Jerry out of his bedroom. We needed a place to sleep. But when Ma and Pa treated you like family, you knew you were really part of the family. I cried when I heard my best friend. Going on 60 years, we've been friends since 1965. We got out of the service around the same time. Don got out of the service, and right away he had a little daughter. And Uncle Tom would come by and call her Ken Butters. And I asked her today, I said, do you remember ever being called Ken Butters? I didn't recognize, this was a little girl. You know, as we all moved to California together, I lived in Fontana, he lived somewhere else in the Los Angeles area. But during the service time, whether Don had liberty or he didn't have liberty, I went home. I hitchhiked or I drove to his mom and dad's house. And we called them Mom and Pa. Someone beloved that Don had for music. I remember when he would pick guitar with his father, who was also a picker. He liked music. I think that's where he developed his love for music. Then I had 3 more years again on USS Halsey with him learning how to play that banjo, picking on the guitar. That was a minor thing to put up with as the years went by. He was always an inspiration to me. So today I'm not saying goodbye, to the friends. I'm saying goodbye to our brothers. Because that's how I felt. May he rest in peace.
There a time limit?
The legend, yes, you must finish
I'll
before
make
tomorrow.
it short because I've been talking a lot today already. I'm running out of words. But I met Don at a retirement party. Hal Blackman was his name. He was a left-handed guitar player. I was picking my banjo and I noticed a suspicious guy looking at me, kind of leaning in a bit. And after a while he came over and wanted to know if I would like to play in their band because they're losing their banjo player. He was going to Texas. Well, I didn't know what to say. I really never was out much picking like that. So I gave it a try. It was, I think a few days later, they had a job, and I think it was Queen Mary, somewhere over there.
It was a barge down.
Yeah, and I played, I didn't know all their tunes, and I was a little nervous about it all. But the guy went to Texas, and they said, well, we got another job, and we got rehearsal at my house, come on over. I did, played another job with him, and he still said, come on over to the next job. I thought, sure, after listening to me, he'd say, well, nice knowing you, you know. But Don was an entertaining guy for me. I put together a little DVD that some is on Facebook, I think.
And YouTube.
Boy, he really shined on a lot of these skits. He was just great. And I remember we played at Calabasas, and we were supposed to wander around, you know, don't stay in the same corner. Well, there was a bench as we were moving, and I was kind of tired. I sat down, and Don, I don't know if he did or not, but there he stood, you know. Come on in and have your picture taken with an old geezer. I think he said for $2. I thought the price was kind of low, but nobody took him up on it, so we're happy about that. But I was up whenever he could. I'd come up, see Don. He'd done a lot of little craft things, and we were together a lot of times. And I tell you what, Don was as good a brother to me as it could have been. And we talked a little bit about afterlife. And Don, I know, was a believer, and that makes me happy, because at my age, I'll see Don a lot sooner than I'm sure you people will. I'll challenge anybody in here to see if they're older than me. I'm 91. Anybody older? That happens all the time. Well, anyway, Don and Nancy, they've been a great part of my life, and I never thought I'd be without a Don Branson, but I'm going to cope with it. Thank you.
Tickets will be available after this, but the price has gone up to $3.
But wait, Richard, didn't you get out of first grade at 91?
I don't have my hat on.
Oh, stories, memories. Keith? Oh, Keith?
Can I?
Oh, please, you have.
Can I have the room, please?
Oh. All right, everybody leave.
Would you like to help out? Well, everybody's got stories. And our story, I guess, just doesn't include Don, but also Nancy. We were in Claremont, I think it was. We had a festival we were playing one day. And Don, and I'm sure everybody's seen this, he had a big pocket full of plastic ants and insects and whatever. And he threw bugs, and he threw them at us. And she caught a couple of them, and one of them is still in our
life today.
It goes everywhere, it's almost. And then after we got the bug, we decided, or we were gonna get married, but we made some people mad because we didn't have a swap wedding.
Well, we weren't actually properly married until we'd had a swap wedding.
Maybe that's it.
Not that it was a illegitimate wedding that we had before. It wasn't. It just wasn't legitimized through SWABA.
It wasn't a SWABA wedding.
What SWABA is. Yes.
Well, I'll explain. SWABA is an organization that is all bluegrass, mostly Southern California, Southwest Bluegrass Association. It had a couple iterations before that, but that's what it is today. And the family that we gained from that included the Bransons, this couple here, Richard and Norma, Cindy. I mean, there's all the faces in here, really. And so the SWABA wedding was held at a camp out in Ukiah, if I remember right. And Don and Nancy couldn't have a regular SWABA wedding for us. Nancy was the, what'd you call yourself, best woman?
I'm your best woman.
Best woman to me. And Don was the bride guy. And so we had our swap wedding at the camp out and treated you like family. Anything else?
I guess I would just back up, and I have just a couple little stories. But so prior to the wedding, I remember the very first time that I was introduced to bluegrass music, and that was at a jam at Sue Nikas's house. That it literally was. I can't say it was our second date because he didn't really ask me to go with him. He just told me that's where he'd be if I wanted to see him. So I did go, and I remember walking in to the kitchen and Sue, oh, you're the girl here for Keith. Yes, ma'am. And I walked through, because he was over in a bedroom, but I had to go through the dining room.
I was in a bedroom playing music.
In a bedroom playing music, yes. And I remember walking through this dining room area, and there was Nancy, and there was Cindy, and there were all these SWABA women, and I think Lori was there. There were about like 5 or 6. Have you ever like walked into a room and felt like laser, like somebody's staring at you, like who is this person? Because they all knew everybody. So that was my first introduction to meeting the Bransons. Probably, I met Nancy actually first because I got grilled when these guys would take a break on, did I like bluegrass music? Did I go jeeping? Did I this? Did I that? And then I did meet Don where we got our bug. Our bug is a little, it's a grasshopper. And he was at our wedding. He was attached to my garter. And then
when you lost the garter, it goes into my pocket.
Yes, then it went into his pocket. He didn't get flung through the air from his pocket. And he was going to actually go on our honeymoon with us. And when we got to our hotel and were unpacking, it was not there. And we were crushed. But we got home and we found the bed was on, or the grasshopper was on the floor in our bedroom. He just decided he didn't want to go. So we still have the grasshopper. He travels with us lots of places. He's been in a lot of places. And that's just, I mean, that's Don for us.
And Nancy.
And Nancy. One of the things that struck my mind today, as everyone's been talking, is I don't recall ever hearing cuss words, curse words, 4-letter words, any of that out of Don's mouth. And I felt good every time I was around him. Didn't need any of that kind of stuff. He just, you know, whether it was the Coke bottle glasses, the bug-eyed, you know, the teeth.
The fart machine.
You know, oh my God, the fart machine. So, the restaurant stories. We go to a restaurant one time, our son was very little, and he puts the machine in the plants. And of course, you know, when somebody would walk by in close proximity, off would go the machine. I think that was the first time I experienced, you know, being outside somewhere and being embarrassed.
I don't know what the machine did.
Well, it was a fart machine.
Well, you didn't tell them.
Oh, sorry. It was a fart machine. And it sounded very original. And depending on how long he held down the button was the duration. It didn't have smell with it, thank God. But, you know, the other thing I wanted to say about Don and really all of SWABA is that, you know, even though I laugh about the vetting process I had to go through, and I did receive a certificate from Nancy and from SWABA saying that I was allowed to marry. And Keith was also in the band that Don played with. So I had...
With Cindy.
Yeah, with Cindy, and I had many a challenge that I had to go through. There were many tests, especially to be a banjo player wife. Any of you that are banjo players know it's a little bit harder. But
There are challenges, you know.
what I do want to say is that, you know, I felt like I really was vetted because I was becoming part of the family. And when we had our son, you know, he became part of the family. You know, it was like Grandpa Don. And, you know, so when I hear you say, like, you know, family and friends that are here today, I feel like we're all family. And I will forever be grateful to Don and Nancy, and I'm glad that you all got to see me today.
That's it.
You might as well sit down, because this is gonna be a while.
Good.
I was introduced to Don about 35 years ago, and it was through a friend he wanted to get back into bluegrass music at that point in his life. And we got together, formed a band, and went through numerous band members before we found Richard and Norma Brewer, and they were a great part of our band. And one of the funniest things, I think, we went to a retirement center to play. And we walk in the door, and Dawn turns around to Richard and says, "Try not to blend in." We had a great time over the years, playing, singing. We pretty much got almost thrown out of every restaurant we ever went in. We were at one restaurant, he was really good about telling you a story like it was a real story that happened to him, and it ends up to be a joke. He had me and my son laughing so hard we were about underneath the table at one point, and a couple that was sitting behind us, the woman was staring daggers at her husband like, "You cracked one laugh and you're dead," and anyway, I have a lot of fun memories, and one of the fun things I can think of is we were on a vacation. We went all the way up to Bodie, and we were out in our Jeeps, freezing to death, it was snowing, and we're following Don in his Jeep, and all of a sudden, he pulls over to the side and gets out. We're going, okay, now what's going on? He runs over to the bank, and he tries to make a snow angel, right? He gets up, and his back is nothing but solid mud. And so he made mud angels that day. He didn't know the snow was just barely on the top. But I have a lot of fond memories, and he's going to be greatly missed. But he was a good family man, and when I first met him, his family used to get together almost every Sunday for dinner, and he was always inviting me over to Mom and Pop's house. And I went over, and they took me in like I was family. And so we're all part of that Branson family. And anyway, he's going to be greatly missed, but I know where he is. And he's out of pain. And we're going to see him soon, I hope. When it's our time. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to say a few words? I know you all have a story about me. Okay, I see you back there in the corner. Is that cousin Shirley?
Yes.
Okay.
Retirement party where I met you. When was that? You know when that was? 100 years ago?
Our mother and Don's mother were sisters, so you can kind of blame us for the creation of these twins. My mother was very ill, and I was less than a year old, and she needed help, so their mother, Elva, came out to live and take care of my mother and me. And so through the years, as Mom got better, Elva, the mother, took a job, and guess what? Their dad was a truck driver, came through, saw this beautiful red-headed lady, fell in love, and there were the Bransons. So just to share one more story, he was little and walking around, and we lived across from a water big tank, and the kids all come running in. And that was the one time they all chose to be obedient children and not interrupt the adults. Finally, one of the parents said, "What do you kids need?" And they said, "Willard fell in the well." And then later, years later, we moved down, different house, and they were building a new septic tank. And it had all big not barbed wire, but rebar stuff on the sides and on the bottom, and big signs, don't go around it, don't go around it. But Don had to do it. He got out there and jumped on the lid till it fell in. And luckily, God loved him so much, he fell through that and missed every one of those rebars sticking up. So you got to not meeting them. So that was our Don.
Anybody else like to say a few words?
I believe his granddaughter would like to say a few words.
Let me get the granddaughter and then I'll get you, John.
Hi guys, I'm Amber, as Don's granddaughter. Makes me really, really happy to see how many of you guys are here today, and like, we all know how much he was loved, is loved, and just how special he is. But really, this is amazing, seeing all of your faces. Yeah, it makes me really happy. I've had a really tough time talking in general since this happened, but I'll do my very best. A lot of my favorite memories with him are definitely being in restaurants with him and him being his jokey self, flirting, and telling jokes to pretty much anybody he could get in contact with. I miss planting sunflowers with him in the backyard of his Pinyon Hills place. That was one of my favorites too. And I don't know, I'm just really happy that I got to have him as my grandpa. And I'm really happy that I got to that we can all share this wonderful memory that we're going to keep of him forever. Okay, I can't talk anymore. Thank you.
I've got one more name.
One more.
I'm John Fred. Ella and I, my fellow and I met Don just after he and Nancy moved here to Philip. And we had just gotten down off the stage from performing at the Rock and the Top performance that Matt King and John Gilbert put together. And Don came driving up in his golf cart, Don Will, and said, "I hear you play bluegrass music." I said, "Well, sure do, among other things." We've been friends ever since. Being on stage with Don is a real treat. Because you rehearse and you get everything straight. You rehearse and you get everything together the way you want it. You get through the first song. And Don, somewhere along the line, when always remembered something or think something of it, was chasing after it like a puppy after a leaf. And everything went out the window. That was fun. Most of you, for the last year and a half or so, I go over to the house and sit around with Don and play some music, swap lives. And licks on guitars and mandolins, and mostly just for our own amusement. And I was writing this, and I got to thinking what I could say about Don for me to cover all the bases. And discovered that there was no finer remembrance or compliment I can pay any man than to say he was my friend. Now, another friend wrote this little piece, and I was asked to share it. Yeah, it's a thing called Poor Coyotes. where Coyote sings, where he calls the moon and the midnight sky. Where there's room for nature's things, and high and brush as I pass by. Let me live where a coyote sings a shivering song for his kin to feed, though shadowy owl must take the wind and all the world must take the heat. Perhaps there's something wild in me that needs to clear his breathing ring. I know that I must be somewhere where coyotes sing. My views are held by everyone. I cannot speak for everything. But when my time to live is done, let me rest where coyotes sing.
All right. He told me that story when I got to see the statue being put up of Don, and it made me think, that was Don. If he got to a crowd and he was playing the music and he thought that set they had just wasn't going to go for this group, he changed it. He wanted you to leave there with a smile. He wanted you to be happy, and he wanted his team to be happy that played. So today, yes, we have memories, we have sad ones, but always remember the fun ones. Always smile, look at your life and say, this is nonsense, let's just have fun. With that, let's have some food and some music and have some fun.